The hungry cat. The little cat had no name. Nobody had ever cared enough to give her one. She was small, thin, and constantly hungry. The streets had never been kind to her. She had no warm home, no soft bed, and no human to stroke her fur. The world had always been cold, and her stomach was always empty. She had once been a pet. She had faint memories of a warm place, a bowl of food waiting for her, and a kind voice calling her. But that life had disappeared. She didn't know why. One day the door had opened and she had been left outside. She had waited and waited, but the door never opened again. Now she wandered the streets, her ribs showing beneath her dull fur. She scavenged for scraps in trash cans, but most of the time, the bigger cats chased her away. Humans rarely looked at her. Some yelled at her to leave. Others ignored her completely. One evening, as the sun sank behind the buildings, she found herself near a small cafe. The scent of warm food filled the air, making her stomach ache. She crept closer, her paws silent on the pavement. A man sat outside eating a sandwich. The cat stared at him, hoping. The man noticed her. Their eyes met. His were kind, but tired. He hesitated, then broke off a piece of bread and held it out. She stepped forward cautiously, sniffing the food. It smelled like heaven. She took it quickly and backed away, chewing fast. The man watched her. Then he tore off another piece and placed it on the ground. The cat hesitated, but hunger won. She inched forward and took it. For the first time in a long time, someone was feeding her. She returned the next day, and the next. Each evening, the man sat at the same table and left small bits of food for her. She never got too close. She didn't trust humans anymore, but she waited for him, and he never disappointed her. One night, it rained heavily. She curled up in a dark alley, shivering, soaked to the bone. She was too weak to move, her tiny body trembling. The cold felt like it would swallow her whole. Then she heard a familiar voice. The man. He was calling softly, searching. She tried to meow, but her throat was dry. She barely managed a whisper of a sound, but he heard. He turned, his eyes widening when he saw her curled up in the rain. He bent down, hesitating. Then he reached out and gently picked her up. She wanted to run, but she was too weak. His hands were warm. He tucked her inside his coat and carried her away. For the first time in a long time, she felt safe. The man took her home. He dried her off, wrapped her in a soft towel, and set a bowl of food in front of her. She ate slowly at first, still unsure. But he didn't take the food away. He simply sat nearby, watching her with gentle eyes. That night, for the first time in forever, she slept on a warm bed. She dreamed of a world where she was never hungry, never cold, never alone. When she woke up, the man smiled and reached out, stroking her fur. She flinched at first, then slowly, hesitantly, leaned into his touch. The hungry cat wasn't just a hungry cat anymore. She was home. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe.